thought to be one of the most romantic cities in the world, one that you must visit. It is a special kind of city with its canals, bridges, and narrow streets. The best way to visit Venice is to get away from the crowds and get lost in its beauty. I recently spent 5 days in Venice and officially checked it off my bucket list. In this video, I'm going to go over the 15 top tips that I wish I knew before coming to Venice. These are going to save you both money and time and help you truly relax during your vacation. Because, believe me, things get a lot less romantic when you run into problems. We have quite a bit to cover, so let's dive right into number 1, which is when to visit Venice. If you're coming in November or December, you should be prepared for high tides. Statistically, major floods only happen every 4 years, but minor ones do occur 4 times a year. On the other hand, Venice also experienced a prolonged period of drought this year, and this usually occurs in January or February and only lasts for a couple days. So spring in Venice could be a little bit wetter and windier. I would also avoid going in August because that is the hottest month and even Venetians leave Venice to go on vacation. So that leaves June, July, September, and October as the best months to visit Venice. Keep in mind that July will be busy and on the hotter side, and October will be a little bit cooler. Now let's talk about accommodation. Depending on where you're staying and when you're visiting, it could get pretty pricey. If you're looking for a budget-friendly accommodation, you could stay in the nearest town called Mestre. There is a bus service that will take you into Venice in about 15 minutes and it costs only €1.50. But more on that later. If you're coming by car, Mestre is also a really good option because there isn't much parking in Venice and it could get very expensive. Keep in mind that if you are staying directly in Venice, you'll be dropped off at the bus station and will then have to either take a water taxi to your hotel, if that's a possibility, or wheel your luggage to your hotel. And depending on where you're situated, the whole trip could take up to probably 30 minutes or even an hour if you have to get to St. Mark's Square. Now back to parking. One thing you should know is that there is no free parking in Venice nor Mestre. I wouldn't recommend renting a car. You definitely don't need one to visit Venice, but if you are coming by car, here's what you should know. Parking lots in the center of Mestre will turn into a market on Wednesdays and Fridays, so beware. Make sure you move your car. If not, you will get towed and it is very pricey. I am actually speaking from experience because that happened to us. And believe me, it could quickly ruin the mood of your vacation because the total for the tow was €290. And on top of that, we also got a ticket for 30 additional euros and had to go look for our car, which took about 4 hours before we can get her back. So beware of markets. However, if you are coming by car, don't worry, I'll add a recommendation down in the description box for a parking lot where you can park safely the entire week. Next, we got warned quite a few times against pickpockets. And that seems to be a common problem in Italy. But we used common sense. We had zippers in our pockets and I used a crossbody bag and had absolutely no issues. So as I mentioned, if you are taking the bus from Mestre to Venice, tickets are €1.50. But if you purchase them directly on the bus, they will be double the price. So make sure you get your tickets either from the machines at the bus station or from the app, and I'll drop a link to it down below in the description box so you can get your tickets electronically. We did that and it was extremely easy. When we were there was a couple that got fined for not getting their tickets before boarding the bus. Now, once you're in Venice, you might want to take the water bus. And the water bus is actually quite pricey for tourists, but if you know in advance that you'll be using the water bus a lot, you could purchase a day pass for 25 euros that grants you unlimited access to the public transport. That includes tram, bus, and water bus. Now, other than the water bus, there are water taxis, but those would be very, very pricey and work like a taxi, so depending on where you're going, they'll quote you for a price. Gondolas are not exactly a way of transportation, they're more for enjoyment and the experience because they won't take you very far. Usually a gondola ride would be about 30 minutes, you won't go very, very far, and you'll be charged 80 to 100 euros. If you don't want to pay for a gondola but still want the experience, you can take a traghetto that crosses the Grand Canal. It only takes about 5 minutes but costs 2 euros per person and gives you enough time to snap a quick photo. This is the plug that they use in Venice, and you'll likely need an adapter if you're coming from the States or Canada. When it comes to food, Venice can definitely get a bit pricey. Of course, street food's still affordable, but restaurants can range a lot. So when you walk right into Venice, you'll see a few restaurants offering the tourist menu at a lower price. It usually includes 2 courses with maybe a bottle of water. Compared to Mestre, it's definitely on the pricier side and the quality wasn't as good. But for Venice, I thought it was a pretty decent deal. We felt full, but not overly full at the end of it. The grocery store is honestly your best option if you want to find reasonably priced items. For example, a bottle of water will be sold on the street for about 3 euros, where you can get it from the grocery store for about 39 cents. I will also add some restaurant recommendations from our host down below in the description box if you're looking for restaurants where locals actually go. Another thing, you might get charged a Coperto, and what that is a service charge, usually 2 or 3 euros per person, that gets added to your bill. Tipping is not expected, but definitely welcome if you enjoyed the food and service. So for all my ladies, when it comes to what to wear in Venice, especially for those beautiful photos. Of course, white goes with everything. It's definitely a good idea to bring one white dress. Also, I found that sage green was a really good color because a lot of the buildings were sort of pink or coral color. Any kind of patterned flowy dresses are also really, really beautiful. Red could be a really good color for a dress as well. When it comes to footwear, I'd recommend really comfortable shoes. I think the average steps we did while in Venice was 15,000 steps per day. If you're looking to visit some of the attractions, fast lane tickets might be a good idea. They will save you the lineup and you can shop around for the price online. Now, how long should you stay in Venice? If you just want to see Venice, you could spend about 2 days, maybe 3 days if you really enjoyed it. If you want to visit the rest of the islands, such as Burano and Burano, I would spend an extra 1 or 2 days depending on how many islands you'd like to visit. Can you pay with card? Yes, absolutely. All places accept card. The only thing you need cash for is if you want to leave a tip or if you want to take the gondola or a water taxi. Another thing to mention, which you might already know from James Bond, but it is full of pigeons. And some of them are quite cheeky and might even come on your table to try and steal a treat. Do you need to speak Italian? No, you don't. However, a lot of people will understand you and answer you in Italian. So we did pick up a few words while we were there. And it is also very appreciated if you try to at least learn a couple words and answer in Italian as much as possible. Now keep in mind that you'll be doing a lot of walking, and if Google Maps says that it'll take you 30 minutes to get somewhere, it'll probably take you double the time. 1, because of the amount of people walking the same way, and 2, because you'll probably get lost in the maze of Venice. But that is the charm of Venice, and it is the best way to enjoy it and appreciate its beauty. So this is your invitation to book your tickets and simply get lost in Venice for a weekend. I hope you enjoyed this video and that this information was helpful to you. If it was, please boop the like button, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao!